Hey everybody, it's great to see you today. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Living Power, your online Bible study. We're walking through the Bible in a year, and today is August 25th. September is going to be here before you know it. Today we had a really interesting story with Jeremiah the prophet, and what happened to Jeremiah when he told the king of Babylon when he told the king of Judah that Babylon was coming. What happened? He was put in prison. Doesn't sound like a very good solution to me. I bet he was simply beside himself. Who wants to be in prison anyway, right? Well, after that, he was told to buy a field and pay good money for that, to buy a field. And the field he knew that he was about to lose. That would be like us buying beachfront property on the night or the eve of a hurricane coming. Jeremiah knew that God had spoken exile. He knew it was coming, but he is faithful to do what the Lord is asking him to do. And of course, we know that the Lord is asking him to do this as a sign, simply as a sign that restoration is coming. I believe what he's saying is, in the midst of all that's going on around you, and this is true of our life too, Jeremiah, in the midst of everything that you know that's about to happen, and thinking about where you are in prison and how you didn't expect your life to turn out this way and how you didn't expect to be here in this very moment, go ahead and buy land for you to live in the future. Can you see just that little glimpse of hope? That promise that God is making to Jeremiah that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I believe that is the message, the underlying message in all of this, is that do we have the kind of faith where we can do something like that and stand on the promises of God in the midst of all of our turmoil and when life happens around us and it just doesn't seem to be working out the way we expected it to? Certainly that can be said of all of us in times of our life. You know, Jeremiah didn't understand how God could restore a nation that was destined for doom. And in God's response to Jeremiah is one of the best verses, I believe, in the entire Bible. One of the things that if you want to choose a verse to memorize, this is one that you can hang your head on and you can memorize it. It's found in Jeremiah 33:3. It's easy to remember, 3:3. And it reads this, and the Lord is saying to Jeremiah, it reads like this: "Ask me, and I will tell you remarkable secrets that you do not know." And I believe that scripture is true of us today. We have access to the throne of God. We can come before Him. We do not need anyone else. We have that freedom to approach the throne and ask Him. We oftentimes ask Him prayers of petition, things that we think we need to meet our daily needs, but here is an invitation to ask Him not only for wisdom, but for explanation. He invites us to come before Him and ask Him if anything is happening that we don't understand. Ask Him, and He will tell us remarkable secrets that we do not know. He might not do it right in that moment. He might do it years and years later, but in His time, in the right time, He will answer those questions that we have. I love that. Ask me and I'll tell you remarkable secrets you don't know. In the reading today, we do see some promises of restoration, that this is not the end for Israel. Glorious times await in the future, and in Jeremiah 33 are these promises. This chapter, Jeremiah 33, is an amazing chapter of prophecy. It came to Jeremiah during the siege, which is very important because oftentimes when we're at our lowest, when things look really bad, that's when God gives us a message or it just seems like God is with us and we feel more or closer to Him during those times. This message of restoration in Jeremiah 33, which encompasses I have at least 7 promises that I take out of Jeremiah 33 that I'm going to share with you in a list form in just a minute. Remember now, these promises came at the lowest point when Jeremiah thought there was just no hope left. Here are the promises. First, that Israel will be restored to the land. This is in verse 7. Second, in verse 8, that they will be restored to their God. So restored to the Lord. Number 3, in verse 9, their honor will be restored. And not only that, but it will be evident to the whole world. They will receive such honor. And of course, we're talking about the millennial period. But these themes that we're reading in Jeremiah are very similar in Ezekiel also. Number 4, and this comes from verse 17, that a descendant of David would continue forever. Now, we don't need to read that there will be a king on the throne of Israel forever, but the line of David would have a king. And of course, we know Jesus comes from the line of David. We see that from the genealogy in the book of Matthew. And when he returns, he will reestablish and continue that line of David. Number 5 comes from verse 18, that the Levites' line would continue forever. This was the priestly line, and it's so interesting. I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime, but when the third temple is built and when they reestablish the line of the priests, the way we can be for sure that it is the rightful line is it will come from the line of Phinehas. Phinehas is the rightful priestly line that God promises to establish forever. 6, Jerusalem will never again be destroyed, and it will be a city of peace. Now you're probably thinking, there's no peace in Israel today. You're exactly right. I've been over twice to the Holy Land, and each time we're always wondering if the trip's going to be canceled or if an uprising has occurred. You're exactly right. There is no peace in Jerusalem today. But the Bible tells us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, because when we do that, what we're really doing is asking God to usher in His millennial kingdom when He will rule here on earth. And the city, Jerusalem, in the millennium, will take on the same characteristics as the Lord who dwells there. And it will just be a wonderful city of peace. Number 7, and this is found in verse 25 and 26, God promises He will not abandon Israel. He made a covenant with Abraham. He made a covenant with David. These are unconditional covenants. Some are conditional, but these two are unconditional. And I heard a quote that I want to share with you that relates to this. I think it's just so pertinent. And it reads, "The greatest argument for the future restoration of Israel lies in the character of God." It's all about His good name and His good word. His character demands that He will fulfill His word and never abandon Israel. So let's wrap this up today. Here's my question for you. Could that also be said about you? In that the greatest argument that you will fulfill your promises is wrapped up in your character and your integrity. Just something to think about today. And I'll leave you with this reminder that Jerusalem will never again be destroyed, for it will be a city of peace. Are we people of peace in our comings and goings? And the city, Jerusalem, will take on the same characteristics as the Lord who dwells there. Jesus dwells in us, in our heart, and if He dwells here, do we take on the same characteristics as the Lord who dwells in us? Well, I hope this has been a blessing to you today. Thank you so much for your faithfulness in committing to the Living Power Online Bible Study. Blessings to you and your family until we meet again. Shalom.